to jump in and get started real fast. I know some other people will be jumping on as we go, but wanted to give you a reminder. And also, if you never heard it before, here you go. All right. You can't grow like thinking about the past. And that's why there's like in your car, the front windshield is a lot bigger than your rear view mirror. So I read that today and I was reminded of that. Right. So, because I've been thinking about how to continue to grow the business, and we just can't think about what happened yesterday or a year ago or 2 years ago in the business, because it isn't going to produce growth, right? And I was reminded of it because I'm trying to grow the business. So wherever you're at, whether you're newer, part-time, been in the business a long time, this is a reminder for you. I hope it helps. Just because something worked 2 years ago, you may need to think about what you're doing now to grow. So it was encouraging for me. Hope it helps you. The purpose of these calls is to basically serve you outside of the daily coaching calls, which are more of a larger group setting. So I'm going to open it up for some questions here in a little bit. So if you have any questions about anything, it's kind of like an office hours type of environment. We can kind of chit chat about what's going on, any wins you've had, anything you have questions on, or just, if you want to share something, that's good too. So I want to first mention some meetings that we have. I'm going to share my screen with you. One second. All right, here we go. All right, can everybody see this, hopefully? Yes? Good? Okay. So if you go to your ARC homepage and scroll to the very bottom, you're going to see Alliance Hotspots. And if you'll click that, I just wanted to bring these up. These are super valuable meetings that we don't, like us as agents, we're not paying for this training. It's just provided to us. We just have to get there. So for example, like last week in Houston, we had one, and a lot of people flew in different states. A lot of people in Houston went. There was probably, 100 plus people at the training, and it was really good. Like, it was good to see some people I hadn't seen in a while and just be reminded of some stuff that's going on, stuff that's available to us, and just reminded like how the business works from other people that are doing well. And, at least for me, meetings have got me where I'm at today, because regardless of how much somebody knows, I may not hear it the right way from them, but somebody else, I might hear it and might stick with me, either because I'm not around them as much or I relate better to them. If that makes sense. It's like it's like the saying, like the preachers in their own town, that the people just get used to hearing the same thing and they don't really take it to heart. But when they go out of town, everybody's like, this guy's the greatest. And it's true. Like, it's helpful to hear stuff from other people. So I wanted to bring up meetings that are upcoming. So if you either know somebody in that area, or if you're close to the area, get there. Like, it'll be good for you. You're going to learn something from somebody, because there's some pretty strong people that are doing the training. So coming up 2 days from now, I believe that's Wednesday. Yeah. 23rd, Gina and Alex Avian are going to be in Ohio. So they're doing a training from 2 to 5. If you're close to Columbus area, or you know somebody who is, that's going to be a really good training. Gina is our product specialist, but she also is available to actually help you write IUL business. You can schedule appointments with her. She will actually close the deal. You write it, you get paid. You do not share any commissions, which is pretty cool. But she's just a wealth of knowledge, super sweet, and really great to learn from. both on the life and the Medicare side. So that's coming up in 2 days. Again, you can find the address by going to the ARC page and hotspots. There's another one that evening, which looks like it's a different location. It's in Georgia. This is just an opportunity meeting. I mainly want to highlight the training meetings, okay? Which there's another one in Detroit. That's on the 24th, which is Thursday. That's an actual training from 3 to 5, and then an opportunity meeting, which will be good. The next one, so I know we have some people in Florida, and I know you're there. So there's going to be a good one. That's just another opportunity. So
go back to the Fort Myers one.
That's in where I live.
Okay, here you go. There you go. Yeah. So that's on Thursday. That'll be good to go to.
Yeah.
What's that?
I already have that reserved.
Okay, good. Great. They do trainings at the opportunity meetings, which are good as well. Like, don't get me wrong, they're very good. So if you're going to go for an hour, stay for the second hour. Like, it's, you already went that far. So that's on Thursday. And then in Kentucky, Louisville, Mike and Noel are doing a boot camp, which will be more of an all-day event. So if you know someone in that area, there's going to be 3 carrier reps there. That's from 10 to 4:30.
Dude, they got Rural Neighbors going over there. We need to get that guy.
Who?
The guy from Rural Neighbors.
Yeah, I know. He's they're pretty fun to write with.
FYI, Rural Neighbors has been fun to write. Good final expense carrier. Just wrote my first 2 apps with them.
And then if you're at conference, which I know, Anna, you were, Eric did some pretty great training. His training is always really good. So on Friday, that one's in Melbourne, which I know is a little bit of a drive for you. But that's going to be really good just because Eric's going to be there along with Gina. And then this one too, if you can't make Melbourne, Anna, the Orlando one, if you can on Friday, Diane's going to be there along with Mike Marisi. So that's going to be really, really good. I know they're both personally going to be there. And then there's a boot camp that Saturday too. So this is Friday night. And then Saturday from 10:30 to 3 is going to be the actual training part. That's going to be really strong. Mike's, I think, the #1 producer right now in the Fitz group. Don't quote me. I'm pretty positive he is. And then Diane's been killing it for a lot of years with team building stuff. So it should be good to learn from. And yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to highlight coming up. There's one more. And where is it? This one's for you, Sonia. Yeah. It's in Stone Mountain area, which I believe is east of Atlanta, about half an hour, I believe. This is going to be really strong. It's a Labor Day weekend training. And the second, that's on Saturday. So it's going to be really good. Like Marcus Richardson is top producer in the country. Mark Hutchinson is, and then Mike Guerra and Nick Greco have built a really fast growing team. So it's going to be a lot of good stuff going on there. I think Megan sent it to you earlier, Sonia, but I would do anything I could to get there. It's going to be really good.
Yeah, I should be able to make it. Mm-hmm.
What's that?
I said I should be able to attend that one.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm jealous.
Yeah, you're going to be so glad that you did. Those guys are all powerhouses. Mark has been a top producer for here. Mark and Marcus. That's hard to say, but they're both really great. And then Nick and Mike, they have one of the fastest growing agencies. So it's going to be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
I'm a little jealous. I might have to fly to Atlanta.
Oh, that'll be fun. It's a holiday weekend.
It is.
Yeah.
What I
So
love-
go ahead, Michelle.
I was just saying, what I love about getting out of your home and going to a meeting is that you're getting out of your comfort zone. You're putting yourself out there. You're making time for the event, and you're actually really paying attention versus in a Zoom meeting, which we are here and we're all paying attention, but it's just a whole nother level of really advancing yourself, getting more out of the meeting, and then being able to go home and actually take action. So that's what I like about that.
Yep, you're 100% right. Because we're all here to grow our business, right? I hope so. We're all at different places, but I definitely want to keep growing. So meetings have been number one for me in helping me do that, and continue to be. I don't see how that's going to change. It's just an ongoing learning process. Even if, I guess you could relate it to sports, right, Michelle? Like, just because you were good for so many years, you still got to show up and keep putting in reps to stay good, right?
Exactly.
Just
Exactly.
So, okay. So again, use that page, check it, once a week. I would look at it just to see what events are coming up, but I wanted to mention those because I just got back we just got back from one last week. So
I was going to ask you, how far away is Tennessee from like Atlanta?
I don't know. It's closer than here. I know that.
So what
I think
part of
it's too far.
Tennessee?
Like the Nashville area? Brandy's in the Nashville area.
4 hours.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, 4 hours. Mm.
It's about
Okay.
how far Dallas is from us.
Dallas is about 5 hours from us, for us. So
Is it?
yeah,
I guess so.
yeah, that's not too bad. It'd be a good one for you to get to, Brandy, if you can.
Is that the one you said had Marcus, Megan?
Yeah, Labor Day weekend, the weekend before Labor Day. So September
Oh, wow.
1st.
I might have to do that.
3rd. It's a 3-day
It's at a resort. I think it's like $20 only because it's at a resort, Stone Mountain, which is a very cool place. I've been there.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. And it'll be a fun event. So
Yeah, it will be.
hey, if we get some of our people there, we might show up. How about that? Can you get Michelle to go? I don't know. How many people can you bring?
Okay. Yeah. If you can make it, please go. It's worth it. You'll double your income, or at least I do, every time I come out of it. Or I write double the amount of apps at least. So, all right, next order of business. The purpose of these calls, like I said, is to serve you. So what I want to talk about is next steps in either getting your first deposit, or if you already had your first deposit, continuing to get deposits, right? So if you haven't had your first deposit yet, basically the step you would be at is either contracting or your leads or marketing conversation, right? So if you haven't completed contracting, the next step is just to get that done, the initial like 8 carriers. If you've completed that and you haven't talked to one of us individually, which the best way to reach out is on Slack, just to schedule an individual convo to talk with you about your lead strategy or your campaign. It doesn't have to be you spending money on leads. It could be a warm market type of deal that you do, right? Chamber of Commerce. It could be a social. Like I had a client in real estate invite me to a social she's throwing with all her real estate friends. So there's a lot of ways to meet people and get leads. There's not one perfect way, but it is important to have a strategy and a plan with that. So if you haven't talked one-on-one with one of us, please schedule a time so we can just go through that. Or if you need to adjust it, schedule a time, let's talk about it. Our calendars are open. So if you've had the lead conversation and then you're currently getting leads, there are some basic things I would note down if you're not doing them that I think is important to address. So one is, if you're taking leads, you want to give the leads 6 weeks worth of time until you stop reaching out to them, right? I think a lot of people get a batch of leads and they're like, well, after 3 weeks, they haven't answered me. You really give it 6 weeks. So either text, phone call, you can mail a letter, send an email at different times to get in contact with them. And then at 6 weeks, you can take it out and place it in your 6 months folder to follow up with, right? If you meet with them and have an appointment and you didn't make a sale, then I would suggest talking to somebody about how that appointment went to figure out if you brought up cancer plans, accidental plans. Really, those two, cancer insurance and accidental insurance, are basic. I like to call them like starter plans because they're within $20 to $30 and there's value there, right? And I've done this personally where I'm like, well, I didn't make the sale and I didn't bring up a starter plan because I was focused on doing whole life or a term, when I should have just said, well, that doesn't make sense for them, but what about this, right? So it's good to talk about that, because if we have a chance to add some value, we need to, right? I mean, we bought the lead, we met with the client, we should be finding somewhere to find value there. So, and then after that, if you're also not using a fact finder, which is the green sheet, I would highly encourage you to use that. So I know Michelle may want to comment on this, but there's a lot of annuity business out there. I know some of you on the call have written plenty of annuity business, so I may be preaching to the choir and on that, but really it's a simple conversation. I guess starting out, it can be a little bit uncomfortable, but it's really just asking the questions to find the opportunity and letting somebody help you with that piece of business, right? So I don't know if you're on the coaching call this morning, they talked about that. Dion and Steve. Dion hasn't been in the business long. She asked her client, hey, like, how do you feel about your retirement? Have you lost any money? Right? Has anyone talked with you about it? Simple questions like that. She goes, no, I have lost money, or I am interested in talking. And she just filled out a green sheet, which is just a fact finder, and scheduled a time with Steve. And they wrote, I think it was 700,000 in premium. So, and that's out there all the time. People, I mean, you don't know until you ask. So if you're at that point where you've booked appointments and you had meetings with clients and you have turned in at least one piece of business to get your first deposit, I would focus on that. So I'll go over it again. The starter types of plans in the appointment, which are cancer insurance and accidental coverage. If you're not making an initial final expense or a term or IUL sale within the meeting, right, that the client actually booked, and talking about that after you're done with someone, preferably whoever's helping you, someone who's turning in business consistently. Megan, Michelle, whoever. But those are two good ones to talk with. Mike as well. And anyways, and then after that, for the bigger sales like IULs and annuities, just fill out the fact finder, you know? And if you're feeling like, well, I'm not sure how to start that question, just be like, hey, Bob, I don't mean to be nosy. Like if I was meeting with Bob, I would say that. Hey, I don't mean to be nosy. I just need to ask you some questions so I can figure out how best to help you and which company is going to be, fit you best. Right. all these plans are state regulated. There's certain questions I'm required to ask you. You can say that if you'd like, because that's the truth. They are state regulated. Certain apps require certain things. That helped me when I was starting out to get over the being uncomfortable about it. Hey, the state requires me to ask you this. That helped me a lot. Or I'm not trying to be nosy. I just need to gather some info to find what company fits you best. And then just fill it in. Income, age, current policies. Do you have a mortgage? And then if you fill it out and you're still with the client, you can just call from the house. That's helpful too. Or you can let them know, hey, we're going to schedule another time to go over this after you've written the initial piece of business. Does that make sense to everybody? Hope that helps. It's basic stuff. And Michelle, you can comment, but it reminds me of because anytime you do something a lot, it's natural to be a little bit complacent about it. And I have to check myself on this stuff a lot. So it reminds me of if you watch basketball or you're a basketball fan, I believe it was John Wooden. He taught his players how to put their socks on and tie their shoes. Because he was like, if you don't do that right, you're going to get blisters, which sounds crazy. Why would you teach that? When you initially say that, but it's the truth. If you do the basics correctly and well, all the other stuff takes care of itself. Because we're in a simple business that's pretty basic. It's not easy, but it's pretty basic. So I just want to encourage you in that. I hope you want to continue to get more deposits and grow, or get your first one if you haven't. But if you're at either one of those points, those are some things to start doing if you haven't been doing them. Or if you have and don't feel like they're working, call somebody and talk about how it's going. So if you want to have any comments, Michelle, that's really all I have before we kind of opened up for questions.
Okay. Thanks, Jonathan. When I'm speaking to people about, their policies or, their situation, a lot of times I'll just come out and ask, how's your retirement coming along? If they're in their 40s or 50s, how is that coming along? How are you doing? And I get them thinking about it, and then they'll tell me, well, I'm putting in this and I'm putting in that, and I'm doing this or I'm doing that, or I'm not doing this. I need to. So it starts getting them thinking about it. And then maybe people that are a little bit older, maybe they're in their 60s, you might want to say something like, as far as, retirement goes, most people, the biggest fear is outliving their income. Have you seen a lot of fluctuations in your investments in the last few years? And how does that make you feel? We got to get to people's feelings, because feelings is where they're going to have emotions and they're going to make decisions. And if you guys watch the stock market, it's been going down again. And I'm not necessarily going to say that to them. They already know it if they're watching it. I'm just going to ask them if if they've seen fluctuations, a lot of ups and downs, and then there's an idea to have another conversation or say something like, did you know that we offer protected growth accounts, and that I have a wealth management partner that I work with who we can talk about this a little bit more. And if you just want to get a third-party assessment, that's a free consultation. I can set that up for you, and we could go over more of the specifics. So that's a way to open that conversation. And money is there. It's there. The other pro tip I wanted to just share with you Many of you may know people that are between the ages of 64 and 67, whether it's your parents, your grandparents, your friends, your neighbors, your church. All of those people, how would you like to be able to offer them a product that is guaranteed, a product that they won't get declined for? And that's our hospital indemnity plan. So we can talk more about that one-on-one or in this meeting or maybe next week. But I just wanted to share that with you because this hospital indemnity plan puts money into their pocket. And it's a great way. It's something like a starter plan because most of them are less than $20 or $30 a month. Less than $1 a day can pay you when you go in the hospital, can pay for your utility bill, can pay for your food, can pay for your gas, can pay for your mortgage. It doesn't have to go to your medical expenses. So I just wanted to share that with you.
And just because they're that age is because it's guaranteed issue.
Medico offers that plan. GTL offers that plan.
Yep. So I just want to reiterate that it's that age group is, if you're in that age group, it's guaranteed issue. Everybody.
It's just a way to get in the door. It was something that Bell Kraus had recommended yesterday or the day before to call through your 64 to 67-year-olds. It's just a way to start another conversation. Any reason, like if you're sitting there and you don't have leads to call, or you're just trying to find reasons to have conversations with your clients, semi-annual reviews, annual reviews, call them to let them know, hey, you're in a guaranteed issue period between right now. And I can get you this plan with no medical questions. So somebody who has cancer or somebody who goes into the hospital a lot, even no health questions on that plan. So it's pretty big, only between that age group. If you have more questions about that, let us know.
It's a great plan. Heart disease, insulin diabetic, all that stuff. None of those people can get on that plan normally, but it only during this age, and then they can stay on it the rest of their life.
And real quick, you had asked me earlier, Mom, about rural neighbors, and I think it's worth mentioning. Has anybody written rural neighbors yet? Final expense? No. Okay, so if you haven't, go ahead and get your contract with them. I just wrote my first 2 applications with them over in the last week, and it's well priced, and it's a good final expense policy for people who have complications of diabetes. They do not ask that question on that application. So as long as they weren't diabetic before age 30, they're good to go with rural neighbors. I had 2 people, specifically the 2 I wrote over the last week, that I had tried to get covered with it was between the 2 of them, it was 4 carriers that I had tried to get them approved with last year, and I wasn't able to get them approved. But when I did, that was last year. But when I did a review for them this year, I said, hey, you know what? I just added a new company, and you're diabetic. I think that's why you got declined last year for this extra coverage we were applying them for. I think this company will take you. And they did. Got this guy 5 years ago from a door knock. And he had a $5,000 policy with me with Transamerica that he was paying $45 a month for, okay? It was a $5,000 policy, $45 a month. He got it 5 years ago from me from a door knock. All right, follow me. It was a door knock from a lead that just never answered the call. And I did a review this year. He decided that he wanted to get some more coverage. Well, we applied him with Royal Neighbors, and at the very end of the application, they tell you if they're approved or not. And he was automatically approved. And he was like, well, can I, instead of 20,000, can I get 30? I didn't know I was going to get approved. I thought, go ahead and give me 30,000. So it went from a $45 a month plan I originally wrote on this guy from a door knock to a $230 a month plan, just because I've been his insurance lady, right? And he trusts me, and I couldn't get him approved anywhere else with his prescription history, and I knew that. That's why he was originally on Transamerica. But anyway, and just like Mutual of Omaha does. So there are some carriers that wait to pay the agent until the carrier gets paid. Most carriers pay that way. All right. And that's how that regardless of who we write, that's how I want all of us to expect that we get paid once the carrier gets paid. But the exceptions are Mutual of Omaha and Royal Neighbors. They pay you as soon as the policy issues. So I just thought I'd let y'all know my experience with them. I know we have a lot of companies and y'all need to learn them all, but we're always trying new ones to see which ones we want to recommend to y'all first. So. Anyways, questions, comments, concerns?
I think your internet is breaking up, Megan.
Alrighty, well, we'll wrap this thing up.
I know Bob had some questions the other day about an ROP plan. Stephanie had a couple of questions about annuities. We're 8:32, but if y'all have a couple of questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Well, I think, hi, Stephanie. I sent you that text earlier. Like, what would be the easiest way to get approved, or which company would you recommend to get approved? Like, if I'm already state approved, I already did the state test.
So it really depends on the age of the customer, how much money they've got, what their goals are, all those things. And I think we just need to talk a little bit more about that, because we have several different companies that are really good.
Okay, so, yeah, and then I'm going to get with you soon to look over our IEL too.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Michelle.
Okay, you're welcome. Bob, did you get your question answered about the ROP plan the other day? Return to premium cashback offer?
Jonathan was kind enough to help me out there. He sort of pointed me in the direction of Forrester's Advantage 2. And I ran an illustration on that, which comes out to be about 17 or 18 pages. And I'm still trying to decipher it.
I like that product. It's a great participating whole life. They also have a 20 pay on that product. It's a lot more expensive, but for example, someone could get a $400,000 whole life policy and only put $200,000 into it over 20 years, but it's a $400,000 plan and it's paid up in 20 years. It's not a term, it's a whole life. So good stuff. If you've got the Advantage,
I thought the Advantage 2 was the whole life.
Advantage 2 is the whole life. Forrester's Advantage 2.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions before I give it back to Johnny? Here's Johnny.
Yeah, and don't feel like you have to decipher it. Like, I've been doing this 8 years and I still don't read all the pages because it doesn't matter. Here's an example. Do people buy a Ferrari because they read the owner's manual? Heck no, they don't. They buy a Ferrari for what it does for them. So really all you need with those types of plans is the illustration pages and explain to the client what it does. Does that make sense? So if you need help with that, just make a phone call, shoot a Slack, but you don't need to understand all the pages. So.
And the sales support team is also there to help.
Right.
The cool thing about that product is you can the participating part will either do 3 different things for you. A, it'll put cash back, a check into your pocket every year for the participation. B, it'll reduce your premiums by the participation. Or C, it will increase your death benefit by the participation. So, and it's been running like a 6 to 7% participation rate for as long as I've been around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I had trouble with the illustration. I mean, I think the client wants $100 premium and it spit out 135, which would be one of three options I'd show. But I couldn't figure out how to adjust to just a $100 premium.
Well, the minimum is
I
going to be
just
probably,
need, go ahead, I'm sorry.
maybe try just reducing the face amount a little bit.
I was only yeah, well, like I say, I'm still playing with it.
Okay. You could call the sales desk too. They can help you. I do that a lot as well. So
Yeah, that's on my plate for tomorrow.
sounds good. All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap it up. Y'all have a good evening. Reach out to us on Slack. Talk to you later this week. Take care.
Go Cowboys!
Go Falcons.